Why do you feel richer when you're spending and poorer when you're saving? Because your brain is still running old poverty software. Broke people spend money to feel safe. Wealthy people spend money to stay free. And somewhere along the way, you were taught to confuse the two. Every treat yourself moment isn't a reward, it's a sedative. Your bank account pays the bill while your future pays the price. This isn't lack of discipline. This is an emotional trauma response running underneath your awareness. Here's the part most people never see. Every time you buy something you don't need, you're not making a financial choice. You're making an emotional payment. Your nervous system learned years ago that spending equals temporary safety. Hard day? Buy something. Stress rising? Order food. Feel behind? New outfit. None of it fixes the problem, but your brain isn't trying to fix anything, it's trying to survive the next 5 minutes. Emotional spending is a survival reflex, not a budgeting failure. This is emotional spending, and it's one of the clearest signs of old money trauma. When you were a child and money was tight, your nervous system recorded every fight, every "we can't afford that," every moment of tension. Your brain linked money with danger. So now, when you have money, your subconscious doesn't see opportunity. It sees a threat that needs to be neutralized. Spending relieves the pressure. Saving increases it. You're not choosing chaos. You're choosing the feeling that seems safest to your wiring. And here's the deeper reveal. Your brain treats money the same way it treats emotional pain. Avoid it, escape it, numb it. That's why opening your banking app feels like walking into a fight. It's not the numbers, it's the nervous system response attached to them. Wealthy people were trained differently. Not because they're smarter, but because their nervous system had a different story. They learned that money buys freedom, not relief. They spend to remove problems permanently. You spend to make the next hour feel bearable. Same action, different operating systems. And the gap between them is the gap between broke and wealthy. Let's look at what you're actually buying. That coffee? You're buying 15 minutes where you feel like the version of you who has it together. That subscription? You're buying the fantasy that future you will use it. That impulse purchase? You're buying proof that you're not as behind as you feel. None of this is about the object. It's about quieting the voice inside you that says you're failing. Self-care doesn't come with interest charges. What you're doing isn't care, it's coping. And your brain is brilliant at lying to you about this. It tells you that you deserve it, that you earned it, that it's only this once. But the truth is simple. You're paying for relief, not improvement. The cost isn't just financial. It's the future you keep pushing away every time you choose a moment of comfort over long-term peace. You already know the high fades fast. You already know the regret lasts longer. Logic isn't the problem. The old wiring is. But here's something even more revealing. Emotional spending is a form of emotional regulation. When your brain doesn't know how to calm itself, it uses money as medication. That's why it feels automatic, why you feel pulled towards spending even when you don't want to. The impulse is not logical, it's neurological. Now, flip it. Rich people spend money too, but they're not buying feelings. They're buying freedom. They buy the car that doesn't break, so they avoid the constant emergency. They buy the system, the course, the assistant that gives them time. They buy the investment that pays them forever. They spend to remove friction, not escape emotion. They're not trying to feel better now. They're trying to avoid stress later. You and they are making purchases for completely different reasons, and your brain was never taught their reason exists. Here are the 3 mechanisms driving your spending loop. The first is scarcity wiring. Your brain learned early that money disappears fast and unpredictably. Scarcity activates the survival brain, so when you get money, your system tries to reduce the threat by spending it. Spending creates relief. Saving creates tension. The wiring flips the logic. The second is shame conditioning. If you grew up with less or felt embarrassed about money, your brain linked wanting things with humiliation. Now spending on yourself feels guilty
but spending to soothe the guilt feels necessary. Shame makes you shrink. Spending lets you breathe, at least for a moment. The third is rebellion spending. If money was used as control in your childhood, rules, limits, fights, your brain equates structure with danger. Budgets feel like cages. Numbers feel like judgment. So you overspend to prove no one can tell you what to do. But the debt becomes the new cage. And here's a fourth mechanism most people overlook: chaos familiarity. If you grew up in financial instability, then stability feels normal. Calm feels suspicious. Stability feels like the moment before something collapses. So your brain pulls you back into the emotional climate it understands, even when your bank account doesn't need to. Now here's the twist no one talks about.
This script's stack. Some days you run scarcity, other days shame, other days rebellion, other days chaos. You save, then binge, then regret. It looks like self-sabotage. It's not. It's your nervous system trying to solve old problems with old rules. So how do you take control back? Not by budgeting harder, not by forcing discipline. You start with awareness. Find your earliest money memory. The first scene that pops into your mind is the one your nervous system is still replaying. Look at the feeling underneath that scene. That feeling became your financial baseline. Then catch the script in real time. When you feel a spike of emotion while spending or saving, pause. Label it scarcity, shame, rebellion, chaos. You're not fighting the emotion. You're identifying the speaker. Pattern recognition weakens the old wiring. Then talk back with simple truth. I'm allowed to have this. Knowing the number is safer than guessing. Structure is not punishment. These statements don't fix the pattern. They open the door for a new one. Now take one small action that buys freedom, not relief. Pay one bill early. Move $5 into savings. Set one limit and keep it. These tiny decisions are votes for your future self. They teach your nervous system that safety comes from clarity, not chaos. Your brain will resist. It will tell you saving is deprivation, investing is danger, stability is temporary. That voice isn't truth. It's memories, and memories are not instructions unless you obey them. But here's the part most people never understand. If you grew up in financial chaos, then chaos feels like home. When life gets stable, your system panics. Stability feels wrong. Familiar stress feels right. So you unconsciously recreate the conditions you grew up in, even when you hate them. This is why you ruin progress right when things start improving. It's not stupidity, it's familiarity. And here's the darkest part. Until you rewrite your script, more money won't fix this. More income just gives you more room to repeat the same patterns. The numbers change, the wiring doesn't. So the real question isn't, how do I stop emotional spending? It's this: what happens when you finally start spending like someone who's building a life instead of escaping one? And what part of you is afraid of that version of you?